Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 159. Tesla will help build a 1000 megawatt hour battery storage project. And another police department are showing off what true cost of ownership really means. And we see the EV adoption trend line continue its rapid ascent. And Tesla's dominance in the US market is still way higher than analysts thought was possible. And Lucid shared their Q4 earnings report, and it's not looking good. And Tesla makes yet another big deal with an Australian battery material company. And the sales figures of BYD in 2022 might be kind of false. And Tesla reveals their new engineering headquarters in California. And Tesla achieves price parity with ICE cars. All of this and much more on today's episode. Start right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
Another police department has come out and show what the true cost of ownership really means and the mountains of money they will save by having an EV over an ICE car. The Somerset Police Department recently purchased a Tesla Model Y for use as a patrol cruiser, citing estimate of around $83,810 saved over a 10-year period compared to the Ford Explorer Hybrid. With the 500,000-mile battery expectation for the Model Y, I would probably say it's more close to 1 million miles, but anyway, the department was able to base savings estimates on the SUV's 10-year duty cycle, expected to be twice the lifespan of a typical Ford gas cruiser. Ultimately, the saving would justify the cost of purchasing the EV to begin with. Yes, exactly. Just wait until everyone really starts to understand the true cost of ownership, like we see here. $83,000 over 10 years. Just imagine how much the LAPD would save, which have a fleet of about 6,000 police cars. Well, they would save about $500 million over a 10-year period. Yes, EVs are an absolutely no-brainer. Everyone will go EV as it just becomes more and more financial suicide to buy anything else, as Police Chief Joel said. So far, so good. The feedback has been positive, and the officers seem to choose the new squad over the others. The more you see the Tesla police car on the road, the more money our Willis will be saving. And safer for the police officers, as they will be driving in the safest car in the world, I might just add. So again, Tesla is just the obvious choice here, as they have the performance you want in a police car, but without compromising on range. Still over 500 kilometers of range in the performance Model Y. At the same time, you will also get an EV that can add more miles per minute charging than pretty much anything else because of the efficiency of the car and the 250 kilowatt charging it can do. Even in wintertime, the Tesla only drops about 15%, and a big study done in Norway have shown, and the charging speed hardly drops at all during wintertime, as Tesla's cars can preheat the battery for fast charging, and it has almost twice the cargo space as something like the ID.4 that does not come with a frunk, can't drive very fast or charge very fast. And when we think about a 10-year duty cycle, we also have to think about how Tesla's software will still be up to date in 10 years time, where the ID.4 will probably have the same software as it has today. So the EV becomes an absolutely no-brainer, but Tesla is still the absolutely no-brainer EV to get. And do you want to become who you want to be in 2023? Well, today's sponsor Blinkist can help with exactly that. I have talked about them before, so I assume you know what Blinkist is. They take a whole book and take all the key takes away and put them into these 10 to 15 minutes blinks. So if you just take 15 minutes out of your busy day to listen to a blink, you can learn something new every single day in 2023 and get all the knowledge of a whole book
every day in only 15 minutes.
And if I should recommend just one blink for you to check out in 2023 that can help you understand the most important thing when it comes to your health, and that is to learn how to breathe correctly. Some of you might know that I'm a freediver and I've been a top 5 freediver in the world, so breath work is something that is very close to my heart, and I think James Nestor here wrote a very good book about how to breathe correctly and how good for our health correct breathing is and how bad for your health it is if you breathe incorrectly. And Blinkist does have a blink of his book. You can also find his book as an audiobook, but that book takes over 7 hours to listen to. But Blinkist has managed to put all the key takeaways from his book and put them into this blink that only takes 26 minutes. So I can highly recommend you listen to this blink and learn how to breathe correctly. But if you want to learn something else, Blinkist have over 5,500 non-fiction titles to choose from. So they definitely have something for you no matter what your interests are.
But Blinkist also has got a new feature called Blinkist Connect. It allows every Blinkist premium plan to be shared by 2 different accounts, so you can discuss and share blinks with your friends at no additional cost to you, and is free for the person you invite as long as you share it with them. So this is very cool. So you will get a 2 for the price of 1 here. But not only that, if you click my link below, you will get a 40% off Blinkist Premium membership. So start your 7-day free trial today by clicking my link down below and make 2023 the year you grow a little more every single day.
So the EV adoption is surprising to pretty much everyone, but is only speeding up. As I wrote in one of my articles that I made for my executive producers this week, we can really see the EV disruption that has already happened in Norway. Norway has really gone through the whole disruption of the EV revolution, but by the end of this year, Norway's capital, Oslo, will also have a 100% of their public transport being fully electric. That means taxis, buses, trams, and even ferries. And we all, of course, know that the shift to EVs for new car sales are already done in Norway. About 90% of new cars are plug-ins and about 80% are pure BEVs. And as I have shown in many videos before, it is happening exactly as a disruption. The new technology comes in and the old technology drops about as fast as the new technology grows. And we can see this is exactly what played out in Norway. We can see the black line here, that's the ICE cars that are falling as fast as the green line here is growing, that is BEVs. And we can also see another thing play out, and that is hybrids only grow to about 30% and then they collapse down to 10% again. The disrupting technology is pure electric vehicles, not stupid hybrids. But I do hear a lot about, but this is just Norway. It's a very small country for rich people, so of course BEVs will work there, but they will never work on a global scale. But as I have shown in other videos, Norway was the first to go electric, but they are not the fastest, not even close. Most other countries here in Europe are adopting later, but much faster. As you can see here, this is Norway's EV and plug-in share through the years, actually a pretty linear growth. But Germany is the biggest car market in Europe and also a very big country. It is adopting plug-in exponentially. Or take the UK for example, for BEVs only, where there is no longer any EV incentive. The trend is still the same and is still one of the biggest car markets in Europe. And I have shown this one before, that the adoption in Germany is even speeding up and is moving faster than the trend line. And if the trend line continues, it will be all over in Germany by 2027. And in China, the trend is even faster, even though they are the biggest car market on the planet and also a very big country, both by population and area. I really have a hard time understanding how people can look at these trend lines and say we will have new car sales of ICE cars for many decades to come. But I guess these people are mostly reading the headlines and not following the trend lines. And Tesla is dominating in the US market, but it's not dropping its market share as fast as many analysts thought. Ford sold about 61,575 EVs in the US in 2022, while Tesla sold about 525,000 units. And remember, Ford came in second in the US EV race. But Tesla still sells about 8.5 times as many EVs in the US as the runner-up. GM made about 39,000 EVs, so Tesla only sold about 13.5% more EVs than GM did in 2022, and Tesla of course earns more net income than both of these guys. Yeah, GM has a funny way of leading. Not quite sure I understand their strategy. But the US market is a great example of the narrative that the mainstream media is pushing out and what many people actually believe to what is exactly going on. Because as many analysts believe, the old legacy automakers would do much better than what they actually doing, and thought that Tesla would never be able to do what they said they would. Just look at this chart that I have shared before back in the beginning of 2022, and keep in mind this is a chart from EVadoption.com that is run by Lauren McDonald, so he should know a thing or two about EV adoption and probably have a good idea of where things are heading. But this chart he made by the end of 2020, and as you can see, he still got Tesla's market share wrong in 2020. He thought they would end up with 66% market share in the US by 2020, but they ended up with 79% market. And then he thought Tesla's market share would fall to 55% in 2021 because of all the competition that was coming. But Tesla ended up 2021 with an EV market share of 72%. But then came 2022 with even more competition coming to the market, where Lauren thought that Tesla's market share would drop to 42% because of all this competition, but Tesla had 65% market share in 2022 in the US. So he was off by 22% in 2022. I just think this is such a good showcase of how even EV analysts don't get Tesla and are underestimating how fast they can grow and ramp up, and overestimating how fast the old guys can ramp up EVs. Yes, they talk big talk, but their production is next to nothing when it comes to EVs. Ford and GM have both been producing EVs for years now, but even combined, they are not even producing 1/5 of Tesla's EV production in the US. And Tesla is ramping up production as we speak in their biggest factory to date in Texas. That will, all on its own, produce more just Model Ys than Ford and GM combined will sell of all the many EV models in 2023. And remember, Tesla's Fremont factory has already become the biggest car factory in North America. And that is on top of Giga Texas. That by itself would beat Ford and GM combined. So the other guys are still having issues ramping up EVs, and Tesla is just in a league of its own. So yes, Tesla will drop in market share, that's just math, but nowhere near as fast as people like Lauren here thought. And to put a little cherry on top, Elon just tweeted one of James' charts and wrote, "In rapidly changing technology landscape, conventional wisdom fails." Exactly. Like I showed in my video about paradigm paralysis, the conventional belief and wisdom do not fit into the new world, so they can physically not see the data that is right in front of their eyes. Like this chart here from James, it does not get much clear what is going on in the US car market. Ford does seems to understand it a bit and don't seem to suffer as much from paradigm paralysis, but not sure we can say that about most of the other automakers on this list. Do they even know they are being disrupted? Not sure they do. And Lucid shared their Q4 earnings report, and it's not looking good. They did miss Wall Street's expectation. Revenue was only $257.7 million versus $303 million in estimates. But the most concerning is their deliveries, that in all of 2022 only came up to 4,369. And they produced for all of 2022 7,180 units. And their guidance was 6,700, but remember, that was taken down from 20,000 units they had as an original target, and then it was lowered to 12,000 and then eventually down to 6,000 to 7,000 units. So sure, let's say they hit their guidance. And now they are targeting for 2023 in production about 10,000 to 14,000 vehicles. So about half in 2023 than their original guidance for 2022. Yes, clearly someone is having trouble with production. Even though Peter Rowland, CEO of Lucid, was out saying a couple of years ago that it is only Tesla that experience production hell. Yeah, that comment didn't age very well. But we are also seeing that even though they are not making a lot of cars, they do have trouble delivering them to customers. People were screaming about Tesla having about 8% between their production and their sales because they're trying to smooth out their delivery waves, but 8% in transit was a sign of weak demand. But what about Lucid, that only produced about 7,000 units, but had about 36% in transit, as they only delivered 4,369? So Lucid Motors are really struggling, both in production and deliveries. So that is not a good sign. They also saw their backlog shrink from 6,000 units from 34,000 to 28,000 in a span of just 3 months. But they only delivered just under 2,000 units in Q4, so it seems like their customers are canceling their orders. So that is not a good sign either. And we did see Lucid make a $7,500 discount on their cars. That is not a good sign for a company that makes cars that sell from 70,000 to 170,000, having to come out and make a $7,500 discount. While they are still losing money on every car they sell, they did lose about $2.5 billion in 2022. So that does not look good either. And the company ended the year off with about $4.5 billion in cash, which Lucid says should be enough to last until the first quarter of 2024. Okay, and then what? Peter said back in 2021 they would have a revenue of $10 billion in 2024, but they are definitely not getting anywhere near that with only 10,000 to 14,000 units in production. And they will still be losing money at that point. Remember, even though Tesla sold and delivered more than 100,000 Model S and X's in 2017, they were still not profitable, despite having produced those cars for more than 5 years. Lucid will, without a doubt, have to get some more money from the Saudis in 2024, or they will die. So, still a very long road ahead for Lucid to just be in the safe zone. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this new show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. Well, we do have another EV startup having trouble with production. Not just Lucid. Lordstown Motors has halted production and shipments of its endurance electric pickup truck to address quality issues. They have only produced 31, that's it, 31, not 1,000, just 31 units so far. So not really ramping up anything here, but they will also voluntarily recall 19 endurance pickup truck to address a specific electric connection issue that could result in a loss of propulsion while driving. So things are not looking too good for Lordstown here. Stop production, recall most of the cars they actually have produced, and yes, production is hard, prototypes are easy. Even though Lordstown's prototype did catch fire back in March 2021. So for Lordstown, it's both production is hard and prototypes are also hard. And Tesla is making a deal with another Australian battery material company, this time taking its big appetite to Magnus Energy Technologies. Magnus is understood to have a deal to supply Tesla with active anodes material from a proposed new plant in the US. Sources say that Tesla's been through testing of the company's technology to ensure output would match its requirements and had put forward a binding contract with fixed prices, very important, and take or pay terms, and should start production from their new facility in the US by February in 2025. So another big battery material deal is heading Tesla's way. And we might get to see a little less of the Berlin factory in the future as Tesla bans drone flights over the Giga Berlin factory. They will be allowed one drone flight over the factory every quarter, although it's unclear how they will get the permission and when these flights will take place, and Tesla has not yet announced why they are stopping the drone flight, but probably just to get a little more privacy at the factory, which is understandable. And All in Tesla Club made a funny video this week by Intel Adam that pretended to be a Tesla Q, saying Tesla's full self-driving would never be able to do what they are showing it is doing. Very funny. Here is a little snippet.
They sold us full self-driving, and what did we get? Nothing. This shit, right? What they promised us is that we'd be able to just name any destination, be able to say, take me to Wells Fargo. And that just like that, it would be able to search for places, be able to allow us to pick a destination, and just take us there with us just putting the car into gear, and it drives us the entire way there without any human input. That clearly is never going to happen.
Well played, and yes, full self-driving beta is pretty much already level 5, it is just not 100% secure yet. It still does make mistakes, that is why it's called beta, but you can tell it where to go, and it does do it, with no LiDAR or geofencing. Just amazing. And he even shared another video of Tesla driving through construction zones in New York City. And as you can see here, when it had to pass this car, where there were very little space, it even folded the mirrors. Yeah, it can already do things that you probably wouldn't have done. And Mercedes announced it will expand upon a previous partnership with LiDAR specialist Luminar in a new multi-billion-dollar deal to integrate the technology by mid-decade. So doubling down on LiDAR. So I guess we know they will not be part of the autonomous future. And Hyundai has officially announced the US pricing for the new flagship EV, the Ioniq 6. The electric sedan is set to debut this spring and will be available in 7 different configurations with either a 53 kWh battery pack or a 77 kWh battery pack. The price range is from $41,600 for the rear-wheel drive version with 240 miles of range, all the way up to $56,100 for the all-wheel drive version with 270 miles of range and 320 horsepower, so the fun version. Then the long-range version goes all the way up to 361 miles of range, so that's very good, and that's for $45,000, so not bad price or range. Just a little bit more expensive than the Tesla Model 3 in the US, but since this car is manufactured in Hyundai's Asian plant in South Korea, it will not be eligible for the $7,500 US tax credit, so it will end up being about $10,000 more expensive than the Tesla Model 3 in the US, but should still do pretty well. Seems like a very nice EVs, but unfortunately for Hyundai, of course, they still don't make any money producing or selling EVs, so they can't really lower the price to compete with Tesla. And the sale figures for BYD in 2020 may be false, as this second-hand car dealer said that he got some BYD Hans, which only had run about 40 kilometers. The insurance registration date was December the 30th, 2022, so pushed into the market by the end of the year. The market price of these cars are 280,000 RMBs, but now they only sell for 220,000. So maybe BYD has done a little Volkswagen, as we saw Volkswagen push out the ID.3 at the end of 2020 and had maybe up to 35% of their sales just being sitting in the dealership, so not really sold to customers, which is very high even for a new product they wanted to push out to dealers. So maybe BYD want to make their sale numbers look even better than they were, but we will see soon. I don't think this really matters. I think BYD is selling all they can in China. I am more excited about to see how they will do in places like Europe, where the price of the BYD Han is still very, very high. $35,000 over the Tesla Model 3. And Toyota was out saying it will begin production of mid to large size electric SUV in its Kentucky plant as early as in summer 2025, aiming for a monthly output of more than 10,000 by the end of the year. That's a quick ramp. The company aims to sell about 1 million electric vehicles globally by 2026. Well, that seems like some big goals there, and would be great if they can do it, but we have seen how badly the BZ4X production went. And we have seen every other legacy automakers having trouble ramping up EV production, but apparently Toyota got it all figured out and can ramp up EV production multiple times faster than Volkswagen, Ford, and GM, and even faster than Tesla is able to do. Call me a skeptic, but I would like to see this before I believe it. And Starlink is now available in one more country in Africa where it's really needed, in Rwanda. And Tesla announced this week that they are making their engineering headquarters in California. So no, Tesla is not leaving California, but investing even more in the States. And we will probably see a lot more innovations coming from Tesla out of California. And Sandy Munro was not very happy about the Audi Q4 e-tron and thought it was a bad EV, and ended up saying,
If you want an ID4, but you want to pay a lot more money, buy the Audi. I don't know what's going on with VW, but they need to change like right now. They need a giant upgrade. They need something that is not going to look like this old-fashioned car. I'm not throwing rocks at Audi. I'm giving warnings, and Volkswagen in general. You got to come up with something a whole lot better than this if you're going to make it in the market in the next generation.
I did make a whole video about it, so if you want to learn more, check that one out. And if you're wondering how many Audi Q4 e-trons GTs have actually been sold in China, well, Alex shared that was 43. Yes, the Germans automaker are really in trouble in China, as I just made a whole video about this week that you can check out if you want to know how the Germans are doing right now. And Tesla Europe made a nice little ad on Twitter where they wrote, one of the goals of Tesla's engineering is to maximize product awesomeness and value. These features and more come standard with every new vehicle. And then showed off these cool pictures of some of the great benefits of getting a Tesla. Very nice. And some photos have emerged of what at first glance could be Tesla's long-awaited small electric car, but this might just be a hoax, as this is clearly the front of the Tesla and the taillights, wheels and brakes and so on, but we can also see part of the car clearly looks like the Mazda CX-30. You can even see where the exhaust pipe should be. And there is this little circle flap on the rear left wheel arch where the fuel filling door on the Mazda CX-30 sits. So I don't think this is Tesla's doing. But again, I don't know why anyone would do this and to what end. But either Tesla is doing a very bad job at hiding this car, or someone is trying to make a host without knowing to what end. But we will see at Investor Day if anything of this should show up. But I doubt it. And as Tesla continues to execute and the stock price at a very low price right now after the turbulent year of 2022, well, in recent months Tesla stock has been the new uptick as shareholders pick up significantly more Tesla shares. The company currently has more support from Wall Street analysts than ever, with a similar uptick in buy ratings. Oh yes, I think we will see something like 2020 here in 2023 as Tesla's business case just becomes undeniable. And Tesla achieved price parity with ICE cars. The Tesla Model 3 now starts as $43,000 before the $7,500 tax incentive. However, even excluding the federal tax credit, Tesla's Model 3 starts about $6,398 less than the average new car sold in the US. Cars with internal combustion engines continue to rise in price while the cost of electric vehicles decrease. The average cost of a new ICE car in January was $49,388, up 6% from a year earlier. So Tesla is now cheaper than an average car. But Tesla is not your average car. And we got a glimpse of Tesla's Cybertruck on high suspension. Now that is really high suspension. And Stellantis CEO is out again, contradicting himself and making absolutely no sense. Stellantis CEO Tavares said that the Euro 7 tailpipe rules makes no sense. It is not helpful, it is costly. Yes, and it does not bring customers benefits, other than helping with climate change and breathe in healthy, clean air. It does not bring environmental benefits. Oh boy, You are not making any sense, my friend. This just the day after that he was out saying Stellantis is ready for North American EV transformation after EU success. Sure, they did still get beaten by Tesla, the brand, in Europe in 2022, even compared to them as an automotive group. But sure, they had some success here in Europe. But then they are saying EVs are too expensive, we can't do it, and the Euro 7 is too hard, but we all in on EVs. Come on, man. Make up your mind. And NR Star and partners execute major agreement for a 1,000 megawatt hours Oneida energy storage project. And that is of course going to be with Tesla's Megapacks. Now that is a big battery. And we got to see the Volkswagen ID2, their more affordable EV. The Volkswagen Group's presentation suggested that the ID2 will arrive before the end of 2025, but that means that this car will also be on the MEB platform and not the Trinity platform as firstly expected, so probably nothing Volkswagen will earn any money on either. But I'm looking forward to seeing this one on the street. Small, affordable EV, that is what many people are screaming about. And here in Denmark, Tesla lowers the price of their Model 3 once again. So now the starting price is almost the same as a Cupra Born and the exact same price as the ID3. But the Tesla Model 3 has better range, better charging and much more fun to drive, much faster acceleration and so on, and it's just an overall much better car. Yes, Tesla is really pushing the old guys right now. And before we end up with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest patrons and members of this new show. My new patron producer, Brent Sweeney, and my new YouTube mentor, Osan and Christopher Lopez. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this new show. Thank you. And a big and special thanks to Supporter of the Week, and this week's winner is Jeffrey Songster. He's a plaid patron of mine and has been a patron for almost 1 year now. But Jeffrey is not only supporting me, he's supporting a lot of content creator in the EV community. So on behalf of everyone, Jeffrey, thank you so much for your support. I will contact you on Patreon to get your address so I can send you your Supporter of the Week winner t-shirt. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. Remember, you gotta keep your eye on the ball.
You gotta keep your eyes on the ball.
That is all we have time for in this new show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And don't forget, if you want to become an executive producer and get news articles every day, Monday to Friday, the video series Becoming News, access to all my research, charts and spreadsheets and so on, and become part of my little exclusive community of executive producers, head over to bestintesla.com and join with the members button. But hurry up, it will be limited to 100 members. And to all my executive producers, thank you so much for all your support. And I hope you are enjoying all the extra perks heading your way.
If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. And if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel and get your shout out on this show. You can also become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out and some extra perks. Hit the members button to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I tweet all the news as it comes out and more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. Now it's also possible to support the show without buying anything, becoming a member or a patron. There is a link to a donation options in the show notes. And also as simple as hitting the super like button. But going forward, I will be making more videos for patrons and members only. And I will give my YouTube members and patrons early access to my videos whenever possible and make my videos ads free for members and patrons only. So don't miss out.
And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.